Welcome back. In an effort to support Bronx youth, CEO and founder of Nino de la Caridad, Dr. Denise Nuñez, joins me now to discuss her program and the way Bronx youth can get involved. Dr. Nuñez, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for the invitation.
Now, before we jump into talking about all the programs you lead, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Oh, yes, thank you. So I am a pediatric intensivist. I'm a critical care physician, which means that I'm a doctor specialized in the intensive care unit and also a pediatrician. And I've been working in the Bronx for over 10 years now with youth in the Bronx and with different families. From preventive care to really, really complicated cases. And that's what led me to go back because normally a critical care physician actually stays in the hospital and works in the ICU, and they don't work directly with the community. We're taking care of like very critical patients that are, sorry to say, but kind of dying, right? Very critical, ill, and but seeing that there were so many things happening in the ICU that could have been prevented at the community level, I decided to go to the community and open a practice, a pediatric practice, about 10 years ago. And now it's become we have several practices in the Bronx and in Manhattan, and we work directly with the community, especially with our youth.
Now, as you mentioned, that's not the only thing that you're doing in the community. You also have a foundation called Nino de la Caridad. I hope I'm saying that, the way it should be sounding. But can you tell us a little bit more about your foundation?
Yes, thank you. So this foundation started a couple years ago with actually my family after I helped my kids get into college. It was just for me, it was a huge process. Trying to get them, helping them with the application process. And I was so intrigued of how difficult it was for my kids to get into not, the entire process. So I went back to my community and I was asking, all these questions to these youth, and we created some questionnaires for all our parents, and just wanted to see how many kids were getting finishing high school around my area. Because at that same time, I was having I had a very rough experience with two of the youth that I loved at that time. I still follow them, but there was a 15-year-old boy, that teenager that had a scholarship for baseball, and it was came from Dominican Republic. And about 6 months into it, he was having some behavioral issues, right? And 9 months into it, I lost him to drugs. I also have a 12-year-old that I was following her, taking care of her, and having like one-to-one conversations because she was also using drugs. So this experience, plus the experience I was having with my kids, I was very intrigued on how could myself as a pediatrician who's having so much contact with all these youth, right, in the community, how could I help them? And that's how we started this just non for profit, this sort of program to try to help kids get into college in the basement of our practice. Started about 5 years ago, and from there we created several programs to help and empower our youth and trying to improve their quality of life, especially to our Hispanic community, through different engaging them through different education activities and resources that they need in order to become leaders and help the community. So that's how our foundation started, and now we serve hundreds and hundreds of youth and from our community.
Now, another way you serve the youth is by this partnership that you have with BronxNet, which is pretty awesome. It's called Leaders of the Future. Can you tell us a little bit more about that program?
Yes. One day I normally, especially with COVID, I'm interviewed a lot for different health situations, and COVID was one of them. And BronxNet actually interviewed me, and once we were in a testing facility, and there were some issues, and in the middle of the issues, I was kind of live for an interview. And after that, I was offered to create a program, and I was just gave it some thought. I said, how can I use this program to engage our students and help them build some skills, some leadership skills, public speaking skills. And BronxNet was kind enough to give us this opportunity of creating the program, the TV show called Leaders of the Future, where we help, the purpose is to help our kids create these skills like leadership skills and public speaking, and to have a voice, right? To have a voice, to be heard. And thanks to BronxNet, we are able to have this show. It's a 30-minute show every other Thursday. And the kids, the teenagers, I call them kids. They can be older. I still call them kids. But these teenagers, help with the help of BronxNet. They produce the show. They write some the segments. They present the show. I'm really rarely on it, only when they ask me some health questions. But it's a great opportunity to get all these kids involved in something that's so powerful, like your voice, right? So they feel they're so valued, and it keeps them off the streets. It keeps them. They create things. It's just so engaging and it's loving, and these kids are able, with this program to meet. They are able to meet people. They're able to look at careers in a different way, and it really has helped them throughout their high school process and actually get them into college. So it's an amazing opportunity that BronxNet has given us, and we're very, very grateful for it.
So that one focuses a little bit more on the teenagers and older kids, but you also have something that's targeted for younger children, and it's called the Caterpillar Homework Club. Can you tell us more about that program?
Yes. So this program came about. We were. This is when we started the Nino La Caridad and Leaders of the Future program. We realized that we were a little bit late when we were trying to get our kids to finish their high schools and get into college. We needed to kind of catch these kids a little bit younger, and get them involved in the foundation. And one of as a pediatrician, one of the things that I found taking care of these patients was that our kids with a Latino last name, and here in the Bronx, if you have some issues with reading or writing, you're right away kind of diagnosed with this learning disability. And I went a little bit deeper into that and realized, parents don't have the capacity. Some of them don't have the capacity of leaving their jobs in the afternoons and coming to help their kids with homeworks, or they just don't know the language, right? And there's a language barrier. And then the parents also don't communicate as well with the teachers and try to like make a plan and see how they can help their kids. So we decided to create this program named Catabolic Homework Club, where we partnered with different colleges and universities around the area, and we created an internship program with juniors and seniors, and they come to our foundation and they help kids do their homework. They also become kind of that liaison between the parent and the teacher. And they have this monthly meetings with the teacher to see how their kids are doing. So there's two students for every intern, and they come in the afternoons and help them with homework, with some reading skills, and make sure these kids are successful in their academic year. So this is a completely free program for our second graders to eighth graders, and that helps them get into the Leaders of the Future, which starts at ninth grade.
Now, as you mentioned, this program does include the parent a little bit, and I think that's pretty uncommon and really unique. Can you tell me about the decision to have parents play an active role in this program?
Well, parents' engagement is very critical to the success of our students. They need to understand, they need to be involved. And if we don't have them involved, the kids are not going to come. We're not going to give their best. So parents, all these youth and kids seeing their parents involved in these programs makes a big difference. We teach them financial literacy. We make them understand the whole process of college. Why is it important to go to college? So it's very important to have our parents involved. They volunteer. We teach them. We actually help them learn English too. We have English classes for them at nighttime and weekends. So this is just it's a family. It's a family foundation. It starts from the parents, and continue with the kids. So they are very critical in the success of our students. And if we don't have them involved, I don't think if we, we wouldn't have the success we have right now. So yes, it's our parents need to participate. They need to volunteer in order for their kids to be involved in our program.
And can you talk about the importance of having, these Bronx children interact with college students? Some of them go to Fordham University and, just really good schools in the Bronx. Why was that important to have these children interact with people who are in college?
Well, it inspires them, right? So you have to see. It's good to have a role model, and it's amazing to have a young person that's in college being that role model for you. So these kids are in, around the Bronx. There are a lot of distractors, starting from your phone, right? You see so many things going on. Then from what's going on right now with gangs and drugs, and kids see that every single second of their life. It's amazing to have these young individuals that are in college, experiencing college, coming to these youth and then telling them what they're doing and inspiring these young students. So they are role models for these students, much needed, and that's what we want them to become. So it's an amazing thing having these youth participate, these college students participate in these programs because of that.
Now, how can people learn more about all of the programs that you offer?
We have it's in our website. It's in Spanish, Nino la Caridad.com, and they can also call our free number. Our number it's 917-666-888-1098, and we will guide them through all the programs we have. But if they go on the website, they can actually register. They can be a volunteer, register for any of the programs we have there.
All right. Dr. Nuñez, thank you so much for joining me.
No, thank you so much for this great opportunity. Thank you.
We'll be right back with more Open BxRx Tuesday.